Attraction doesn't always arise from the light. Sometimes it emerges from the shadows. Carl Jung showed us that desire reveals what we repress, what we deny, what we need to integrate. This video is a journey into the hidden side of sexual attraction, the mirror of the soul, the secret language of the shadows, the dance between anima and animus. It's not what you see on the outside that matters, but what your unconscious mind screams inside. The darkest truth of sexual attraction isn't what you see, but what your soul hides. Jung called this the shadow. It's a part of yourself that you don't accept, but choose again and again in those you desire. What you're attracted to isn't always what you love. Sometimes it's what you deny within yourself. Are you ready to face this truth? If these words resonate with you deeply, subscribe and join me on this inner journey. Like this post so it can reach more souls in need, and share in the comments the dark side you feel is expressed through your attraction. Together we can shed light on what we have kept in the shadows for so long. Sexual attraction, that mystery that haunts us like an unquenchable flame. No matter how hard we try to explain it logically, there is always something deeper, darker, something that belongs to the soul. Carl Jung knew this. He understood that what we call desire is not just a biological instinct. It is a mirror, a door to the shadows, because behind every gaze that burns us, behind every body that shakes us, hides a symbol, a projection of what we lack, what we hide, what we do not want. Look within yourself. What attracts you is not a coincidence. What fascinates you is your unconscious speaking to you silently. What you cannot help but desire. It is your soul retrieving the pieces lost in the darkness. Imagine for a moment you see someone and your heart races. You don't understand. It's not their face, it's not their body, it's something invisible. It's as if this person carries within them a part of you that you've forgotten. It's the call of the shadows. It's your unconscious holding up a mirror to you, because sexual attraction, when it burns so intensely, almost never speaks of true love. It speaks of emptiness. It speaks of what you have denied, of what your soul is trying to reclaim. And therein lies the darkest truth. What you desire most on the outside is what you deny most on the inside. Carl Jung said that within every man lives a secret woman, the soul, and within every woman a hidden man. Animus are the invisible forces that seek fulfillment in others. You are not just attracted to that person, you are attracted by the echo of your own soul. That is why when someone awakens your desire, it is not simply alchemy, it is profound psychology. It is your unconscious whispering to you, see what you are not, but what you could be, see what you have repressed, but which still lives within you. Perhaps you are drawn to someone's gentleness because your life has become difficult. Perhaps you are drawn to someone's darkness because they won't let you express your inner enthusiasm. Perhaps you seek someone's calm because your inner self is a storm. You only desire a reflection. You only seek a projection, but be careful, because the shadow doesn't just bring beauty, it also brings danger. The most intense attraction, the one that seems inevitable, often arises from what we haven't healed. That's why desire can become obsession. That's why pleasure can turn into a prison. Because you're not looking for the person, you're looking for the missing part of yourself. Do you understand now? Your desire speaks more about you than it does about the other. What you see and desire on the outside is a symbol of what is within you. Attraction is a secret language of the unconscious, a fiery dance between what you are and what you repress, a silent call to look within rather than lose yourself outside. Carl Jung warned us that what is not made conscious is experienced as destiny. This is why so many relationships are born of burning desire and end in ruin, because we mistake reflection for truth, shadow for love. The body burns, but the soul is confused. Desire screams, but the mind is silent. And in this clash we learn, we suffer, we awaken. The darkest truth of sexual attraction is this: we do not desire the other. You yearn for your reflection in another, your shadow hidden in another body, and until you understand it, you'll repeat the same dance over and over again. Attraction, obsession, hurt, emptiness, but if you can look beyond it, if you dare to decipher the hidden message, then every attraction becomes a doorway to your own healing. Every person who lights a fire within you isn't just a potential lover. He is a master in disguise, a living mirror that reveals to you what you have not yet integrated. Don't run away from this truth. Don't hide the shadow behind excuses, look at it. Hold its gaze, for there in what draws you with an inexplicable force lies the key to your freedom. If these words have awakened something in you, don't ignore it. Subscribe, like, and leave your comments. Not for me, but for yourself. Because every time you share your shadow, it loses its power and you find light again. You've felt this strange force. Someone appears, and without understanding why, you look at them as if they carry your destiny. Their voice, their gestures, their way of being, in their eyes, they awaken something in you that you didn't know was dormant. And you think it's love? You think it's magic? You think it's that person? But no. What you see, what you feel, what you idealize, it's your unconscious projecting itself, your shadow disguised in another body. Carl Jung called it projection, this mechanism by which we reject what we don't accept in ourselves. And sexual attraction is one of the most intense phases of it. When you desire so badly, when you can't stop thinking about someone, ask yourself, is this really who you are? Or is this what that person reflects of you? You project your repressed tenderness onto a gentle person. You project your denied strength onto a domineering person. You project your dark side onto a mysterious person. Everything you don't recognize, you place on the face of the person you desire. And then we confuse the mirror with reality. We confuse our shadow with the other. This explains why attraction can be so irresistible. Because we don't see the person as they are. We see their unconscious, their wound. We see their emptiness. Jung said that what we hate most in others is generally what we deny most in ourselves. The same is true of what we desire most. What we seek most on the outside is what we have most lost on the inside. Think of that person you once obsessed over. You put them on a pedestal. You saw them as perfect, unattainable, indispensable. But perfection wasn't theirs, it was yours. They were fragments of you projected onto his skin. That's what makes desire so dangerous. We disguise it as love, but it's often a desperate projection. We look outside for what we don't know how to cultivate inside. And then the other is no longer free. We transform them into our reflection. Imagine an empty screen. Your unconscious is the projector. The other is the screen. Everything you don't accept, everything you yearn for, everything you deny, you project onto this screen and believe it's real, but it's not. You're simply talking to yourself through the other. That's why so many passions break. Because one day the veil of projection falls. You stop seeing your reflection. You start seeing the real person. And then disappointment comes. Not because the other person lied to you, but because you were in love with your shadow, not with them. Projection is not a mistake. It is an opportunity. Whenever someone attracts you with excessive force, ask yourself, what part of myself am I putting into this person? What forgotten part of my soul is this desire trying to save? If you do this, desire ceases to be a prison. It becomes a teacher. We no longer run after the other, we run after ourselves. And when we find ourselves, the obsession dissipates. The attraction transforms into understanding. Carl Jung said, the meeting of two people is like the contact of two chemicals. If there is a reaction, both are transformed. This means that every attraction, every desire, every projection is an invitation to transform ourselves, to look at our shadow, to recognize what we deny, to integrate what we have lost. The darkest truth of sexual attraction is this: we are not looking for the other. We are looking for ourselves in the other. We are not chasing bodies, we are chasing symbols. And until we understand this, we remain trapped in an endless cycle. Desire, projection, disappointment, emptiness. But when you understand this, something changes. Fire is no longer a prison. Desire is no longer a blindness. It becomes a path to yourself. Observe carefully the next time someone awakens your desire. Look beyond the body, beyond the alchemy, beyond the obsession. Ask yourself how much of myself I see in their eyes. This answer is worth more than pleasure, more than conquest, more than attraction itself. Because right there, lies the secret map of your unconscious. If you've ever mistaken a reflection for reality, you're not alone. Subscribe, leave your mark in the comments, and share this message with those who need to open their eyes. Remember, desire is not a prison. If you know how to use it like a mirror, sexual attraction is never just physical. What it awakens in you is not just desire. It is an archetypal memory. It is the oldest language of the soul. Carl Jung understood this well. Within each of us reside eternal forms, invisible patterns that span cultures, eras, and history. We call them archetypes, and every attraction you feel is colored by them. Think of the inner child, that innocent, curious, and vulnerable being. When you are attracted to someone's purity, ingenuity, and freshness, it's no accident. It's your inner child crying out for expression. It's your soul crying out for the simplicity lost in the heart of adulthood. Or imagine the lover, that archetype that lives within each of us, passionate, creative, brimming with life. When someone lights your deepest fire, it's the lover within you awakening and reminding you that life isn't measured in hours, but in intensity. But it's not just the light archetypes that speak to your desires. The dark ones do too. The hero may draw you to someone who seems strong, unbreakable, and protective, and without realizing it, you desire them because you yearn to free yourself from your own fragility. The sage may project onto someone mysterious, distant, and profound. You desire it because deep down, your soul is crying out for a guide, a direction, a meaning. Even the madman, that chaotic, irrational, and wild archetype, can awaken in you when someone breaks the rules, when you are fascinated by their rebellion. It's not just attraction. It's your own need to free yourself from invisible chains. Each person you are attracted to is much more than a body. It's a symbol, a messenger, the living mirror of an archetype that's just waiting to be recognized. This is why desire sometimes makes no sense. You're attracted to someone who doesn't fit your story, your type, your reasoning, and yet you desire them with an inexplicable force. It's an archetype knocking at your door. It's your unconscious calling you to integrate what you've forgotten. But therein lies the danger. When we ignore archetypes, we become enslaved by them. We believe we love the person, when in reality, we are trapped by the symbol they represent. We obsess over the protector because our inner child feels insecure. We cling to the wise man because his life lacks direction. We give in to the fool because his soul yearns to break the rules. And so you confuse the person with the myth, the human being with the archetype. Carl Jung said that the collective unconscious speaks to us through symbols. Desire is one of those languages. It's no coincidence that someone attracts you. It's no coincidence that someone lights your flame. It's a myth that wants to be born within you. And that's the darkest truth. Often we don't desire the person, but the archetype that lies dormant within them. We desire the hero, the sage, the lover, the child. We desire what our soul refuses to be. But here's the solution. By recognizing the archetype, the spell is broken. We no longer see just the other. We see the symbol that expresses itself through them. And then, instead of being trapped by attraction, you can learn from it. Every desire becomes an initiation. Every encounter a mirror. Every attraction a map of your own interior. Imagine for a moment that instead of obsessively pursuing the person you desire, you considered them a messenger. Ask yourself, what archetype is awakening in me? What forgotten part of my soul is signaling this to me? What myth from my unconscious is asking to be revealed by this attraction? If you do this, you are no longer a prisoner of the fire. Fire becomes light. Attraction ceases to be a prison and becomes a path to individualization. Remember, you don't desire bodies, you desire symbols. You don't seek people. You seek fragments of yourself that take form in them. The body burns, but the symbol transcends. The skin disappears, but the archetype remains. And if you learn to listen to it, desire ceases to be darkness and becomes wisdom. If you've ever felt an inexplicable attraction, don't ignore it. Observe the symbol behind the eyes that burn within you. Subscribe, like, and share in the comments the archetype you believe is expressed through your desire, because your attraction is always a myth in the making. There is a truth that no one wants to hear. What excites you most is what you deny most. What attracts you most is what you repress most. The most ardent desire is born in the darkness of your shadow. Carl Jung called it that, the shadow. It is the place in the soul where we hide everything we consider unacceptable. Our fears, our weaknesses, our wounds, but also our forbidden desires. Since childhood, we have learned that there are things we must not feel. Obscene fantasies, dangerous impulses. So we buried them, hidden them in our subconscious. And there, deep within us, they became a latent fire. But the fire never goes out. It waits, and one day it awakens. This is why sexual attraction can be so disturbing. We don't just desire the other. We desire the part of ourselves buried in the shadows. We desire the forbidden, the denied, the secret. Jung said that we don't achieve enlightenment by fantasizing about figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. This means that your desire is not a sin. It is a message, the language of the soul, your erotic shadow knocking at the door of your consciousness. What you repress most controls you, which is why you are attracted to what you deny. This is why desire sometimes seems like an impossible enemy to defeat. Because it does not fight you, it struggles to escape you. Examine your fantasies honestly. Look calmly at your obsessions. These are not coincidences. They are symbols. Every erotic fantasy is a letter written by your shadow, a reminder of what you have hidden to survive. Perhaps you are drawn to strength because you have learned to be weak. Perhaps you are turned on by submission because you have always wanted to control everything. Perhaps you yearn for darkness because you have never allowed yourself to break the rules. It is not the other. It is you who is looking for yourself in the other's skin. The darkest truth about sexual attraction is that it's made of taboos. We desire what we fear. We love what we hate. We seek what we swore never to touch. For the unconscious doesn't forget what we repress. It simply hides it until someone awakens it. This explains why desire can be so addictive. You're not just seeking pleasure, you're seeking liberation. You're seeking to free the prisoner you've locked in your shadow. You're seeking to make the unconscious conscious. The problem isn't desire. The problem is when you deny it. When you resist it, desire becomes stronger. Darker, more dangerous because what is repressed always returns, and with devastating force. Carl Jung warned us, until you become aware of your shadow, it will continue to rule your life, and you will call it destiny. This includes your sex life, your obsessions, your most inexplicable passions. It is not destiny. It is your shadow in search of light. What if, instead of fleeing desire, you listened to it? What if, instead of judging your erotic shadow, you acknowledged it? What if instead of hiding the forbidden, you look at it with courage? This doesn't mean giving in to the impulse, but understanding it. It means using it like a map. It means asking yourself, what part of me is speaking in this desire? Then every attraction ceases to be a prison. It becomes a message. Every fantasy ceases to be a shame. It becomes a symbol. Every shadow ceases to be an enemy. It becomes a teacher. For fire is not evil. Evil is living the lie of its non-existence. Desire does not destroy. What destroys is denying it, repressing it, running away from it. The erotic shadow is not your enemy. It is your hidden ally. It is the key to your inner freedom, but only if you dare to face it. If you have ever felt that your desire frightens you, remember, you are neither strange nor guilty. You are simply human. Subscribe, share your thoughts in the comments, and let us accompany you on this journey. For the shadow is not defeated, it is illuminated. Jung taught that what we repress never disappears. No matter how much we ignore it, hide it, or pretend it doesn't exist, what is repressed always resurfaces, and sexual attraction is one of the most powerful vehicles for this hidden energy. Think about it. When someone fascinates you, it's not always because of their true virtues. Often, it's because they embody something you yourself have rejected. It could be your desire for freedom, your wild side, your vulnerability, your ambition, or even your aggression. Jung called this the shadow, the set of aspects of our personality that we deny, because they don't match the image we want to project. The dark side of sexual attraction is that without realizing it, we use the other person as a mirror of what we have buried. This is why the desire is so strong, almost uncontrollable. We don't just desire the other person. We desire that part of ourselves that we see in them. But here's the danger. If you're not aware of it, attraction can turn into obsession, addiction, or even destruction. How many times have you felt trapped in a toxic relationship, unable to let go as if some invisible force were chaining you? This is not true love. It is the shadow reclaiming what was never integrated. But this is also the opportunity. It has pushed us to repress these impulses. On the contrary, it has invited us to confront them, to acknowledge them, to give them a conscious place in our lives. Only then does desire cease to enslave us and begin to transform us. The darkest truth about sexual attraction is that it's not just about the other person. It's also about you. what you haven't allowed yourself to be, what you haven't dared to accept. And until you acknowledge that shadow, you'll keep falling back into the same patterns, seeking in others what has always been inside you. And here I have a question for you. Have you noticed that you're always attracted to the same type of person? That your relationships seem to repeat the same cycle over and over again? It's no coincidence. It's your unconscious mind screaming at you, showing you what you still need to heal. Jung's profound message is that sexual attraction, once understood, can become a path to self-discovery. Every time someone upsets you, every time a desire burns within you, that is life giving you a clue. Look there, for that is where your shadow lies. True power lies in the boldness to explore what attracts you, without giving in to obsession, but by asking yourself, what part of myself do I see in this person? When you ask this question honestly, something changes. Energy stops controlling you. We begin to direct it, and it's a step few people take, because it's easier to blame the other, to say they bewitched, manipulated, obsessed me. But Jung reminds us that the force has always been within us. Attraction is not an enemy, it's a messenger. And the message is clear. We cannot run away from ourselves. Sexual attraction isn't just fire, body, or impulse. It's a message from the soul. And according to Jung, every message from the shadow and the archetypes has a purpose, to guide you toward individuation, toward the integration of all that you are. Think of the intensity of desire, that magnetic pull that draws you towards someone and seems impossible to resist. This is neither chance nor whim. It is your unconscious speaking to you. It is the force that tries to unify what you have fragmented within yourself. For Jung taught us that the soul is incomplete when we deny parts of ourselves. And sexual attraction, in its rawest form, reveals precisely where this lack lies. Every time you are fascinated by someone who seems so different from you, who seems to possess qualities that you do not, your soul reveals an emptiness to you, an aspect that must be recognized and accepted. The anima and the animus. These archetypes of the unconscious play a central role here. The anima in men represents unconscious femininity, sensitivity, intuition, emotion, and kindness. The animus in women represents unconscious masculinity, strength, determination, logic, and courage. When we are attracted to someone, it is often not the person themselves who ignites our flame, but rather the spark of our anima, or animus, ardently demanding its emergence, and therein lies the paradox. We desire what we must integrate. We don't just seek pleasure, we seek fulfillment, we don't seek the body. We seek inner balance, and every erotic encounter, every intense attraction is a doorway to this integration. But it's not easy. The shadow always intervenes if we ignore what the attraction reveals. If you run away from your dark desires, the energy becomes destructive. Obsession, jealousy, guilt, shame, all unconscious shadows. And the shadow is only transformed when you look at it, acknowledge it, and accept it. This is why Jung insisted, looking at the shadow is an act of courage, and loving through the shadow is an act of wisdom. Imagine for a moment that every person who awakens your desire is a teacher in disguise, that every attraction is a mirror, showing you a fragment of yourself that you must save, that every desire is a map of your own individuation. Then passion ceases to be blind, ceases to be suffering, ceases to be an obsession. It becomes a guide, it becomes light, it becomes a bridge to your wholeness. But there is one crucial step, letting go of the ego. The ego wants to possess, control, justify. The ego wants attraction to be only immediate gratification. The ego clings to what shines, what burns, what seems powerful. Jung said that only by letting go of the ego can the energy of shadow and desire be transformed into wisdom. Detachment doesn't mean giving up pleasure. It means ceasing to confuse outer fire with inner fullness. It means letting attraction rule, not overpower. Individualization isn't a distant destination. It's a journey that begins every time you recognize your shadow in desire. Whenever you listen to the call of your soul or animus, whenever you transform obsession into reflection, desire into self-knowledge, attraction into guidance, the deepest, darkest truth of sexual attraction is that it is not another person who completes us. We are ourselves reflected in another. We are fragments seeking to be reunited. We are the shadow crying out for light, the archetype crying out for manifestation, the soul crying out for integration. And here is the revelation few dare to accept. Consciously loving and desiring is not simple. It is a sacred act. It is an act of courage. It is the bridge that unites body, mind, and spirit. Every spark of attraction you feel is a reminder of your journey. Every erotic encounter is a reflection of your evolution. Every intense desire is an opportunity to grow, to integrate, to heal. If you've ever felt a desire that's confusing or overwhelming, remember that your soul is there, begging for your attention. Subscribe, share your thoughts in the comments, and give a thumbs up if you'd like to continue this journey toward fulfillment. Because every attraction, every desire, every shadow is a teacher waiting to be heard. Desire doesn't always call for action. Sometimes what transforms most is not the physical encounter, but the stillness, the silence, that space where we allow ourselves to look without clinging, where the soul observes without fear. Carl Jung taught that life oscillates between the conscious and the unconscious, and that emptiness is the place where the two can meet. This emptiness is not the absence of life, but the absolute presence of self. It is the moment when we stop chasing, controlling, or projecting, and simply feel. Imagine your desire as a tumultuous river. The shadow, the archetypes, the obsession are the currents that pull you under. If you fight them, you drown. If you surrender completely, you are lost. But if you learn to stay on the shore, to observe, to breathe, to let it happen, something changes. The river continues to flow. Yes, but now it no longer controls you. Now you are aware. Now desire becomes a guide, not a prison. Stillness allows you to see what has always been before your eyes, to recognize the anima or animus of the person who ignites your fire, to feel the shadow without fear, without guilt, without judgment, to observe the archetypes without attachment. In this space of emptiness, desire ceases to be blind and transforms into erotic wisdom. Suddenly we realize there's no need to control, possess, or repeat patterns. We just need to integrate. The darkest truth about sexual attraction is that it obsesses us because there's always an inner void. We want to fill something we don't know we have. We look outside for what we haven't yet accepted inside. But when we stop, when we breathe, when we immerse ourselves in stillness, we discover there's nothing to fill. There's only presence. Every desire, every attraction, every sexual impulse is a messenger inviting you to look within. And stillness allows you to receive it without losing yourself. It allows you to recognize your shadow, welcome your soul, and integrate your archetypes. It allows you to see the fire without burning, to feel without attaching. Jung said that individuation is not a destination, but a process that occurs when we allow ourselves to see all that we are. Light and shadow, desire and fear, attraction and rejection. Emptiness is not passivity. It is an act of courage. It is allowing the energy of the unconscious to transform into self-knowledge. Learning to abide in emptiness allows us to discover something profound. Desire is not the enemy. Attraction is not a trap. Your shadow is not a condemnation. Everything is a lesson. And therein lies the paradox that few understand. The more you let go, the freer you are. The more you accept the shadow, the stronger you become. The more you observe desire without running away from it, the closer you come to yourself. Emptiness is not the absence of pleasure. It is full presence. It is not the absence of passion. It is the transformation of passion into wisdom. It is not the silence of attraction. It is the silence of the soul, which teaches you that what awakens your desire can also awaken your consciousness. Consider each sexual attraction not as fate, but as a mirror. Each erotic impulse not as blindness, but as a sign. Each spark of desire not as loss, but as an opportunity to find yourself again. And if you learn to hold that gaze without fear, without judgment, without haste, then emptiness becomes a bridge. Then stillness becomes a guide, and desire becomes freedom. If you've ever felt like desire was controlling you, stop, breathe, observe, subscribe, share your thoughts in the comments. And if you'd like to continue exploring how sexual attraction can become a path to your inner freedom. For emptiness is not absence. It is your soul speaking to you. Sexual desire, when not understood, can become a prison. It holds us back, consumes us, makes us repeat patterns we don't understand, and drives us to seek outside ourselves what we have never integrated within ourselves. Carl Jung taught that freedom comes not from controlling life, but from understanding it, and that includes desire. Conscious detachment is neither renunciation, nor coldness, nor indifference. It is allowing attraction to exist without clinging to it, It is looking at the fire, feeling it, and at the same time not letting it burn you. When you are attracted to someone, your shadow and your archetypes are active. The child, the lover, the hero, the sage, all are seeking to manifest themselves, and sexual attraction is their most intense language. If you try to control, possess, or judge, the energy stagnates. If you observe with detachment, the energy flows and reveals its true message. Conscious detachment teaches you to differentiate between what belongs to others and what belongs to you, to see desire as a mirror of your unconscious, not as an external command, to understand that no one can complete what you have not yet integrated. Think of attraction as a river. Detachment doesn't dry up the river or stop its flow. It only teaches you to float, to navigate without being pulled along, to feel the force without being dominated. When you detach, passion ceases to be an obsession. Desire ceases to be a blindness. Your shadow no longer manipulates. Your anima and animus find their balance, and what was once a destructive fire becomes a transformative light. Detachment also allows you to see the truth of the other. By no longer attaching, you start projecting your shadow and archetypes onto the other. You see the real person with their limitations, qualities, and flaws, and this is where an authentic connection emerges. For loving consciously is neither obsession, nor idealization, nor blindness. To love consciously is to recognize the other as other while integrating all that they awaken in oneself. It is a balance between passion and consciousness, desire and freedom. The profound truth is that sexual attraction can be a gateway to fulfillment if we learn to detach ourselves from it. Every desire we feel is a message from the unconscious. Every burning impulse is a call to look at our shadow. Every person who fascinates us is a mirror of what we still have to integrate. Conscious detachment does not extinguish desire. It transforms it, does not diminish its intensity, gives it meaning, does not destroy passion but exalts it. Jung reminds us that individuation is a path of integration. Detachment is a fundamental tool in this process, for it is only when we no longer need to possess, when we free ourselves from attachment, that we can truly learn from desire. Only by freeing ourselves from our obsession can we receive the teaching that attraction brings to our lives. Detachment is the key that transforms the shadow into the master, the projection into the mirror, and the desire into the guide. By practicing conscious detachment, you discover something revealing. It is not the person who controls your desire. It is not the body that dictates your pleasure. It is you, the awakened consciousness, navigating at the will of your soul. And in this space, attraction ceases to be dangerous. It becomes a path to self-knowledge. It becomes a mirror of your shadows and archetypes. But with light, it becomes the path to your inner freedom. If you've ever felt like passion was ruling you, breathe and observe. Subscribe. Leave a comment about what awakens your desire. And like if you want to learn to love consciously, because detachment doesn't extinguish the fire. It transforms it into a guide for your soul. Life, like desire, never stops. Nothing stops. Carl Jung taught that to resist change is to resist life itself. And that includes sexual energy, attraction, the passion that burns within us, every spark of desire, every impulse that awakens your shadow or your archetypes is a river in motion. If you resist, if you fight, if you try to control everything, you drown. If you go with the flow, if you observe, if you accept, you learn. Following desire means allowing the energy it awakens within you to be a teacher, not a master. It means listening without judging. It means feeling without fear. It means letting desire reveal what your shadow hides, what your soul or animosity seeks to manifest. Jung said that life is a process of individualization, of integrating all that we are. Light and shadow, desire and consciousness, passion and reflection. Every sexual attraction is part of this process. Every repressed desire that becomes conscious, every impulse that transforms into self-knowledge, is a step toward fulfillment. Accepting change is essential. Desire is never the same. Every person you're attracted to is different, and what you feel today won't be the same tomorrow. By allowing yourself to be carried by this reality, you learn not to get attached. You learn that every experience is unique, that every connection has its time and purpose. Sexual attraction, once understood, becomes the mirror of the soul. It reveals to you what you haven't yet integrated, confronts you with your shadow, guides you toward your inner archetypes. And all of this is constantly evolving like a river that never stops. Imagine your desire as a dance. Every impulse, every attraction, every passion is a step in this dance. If you try to control it, you stumble. If you ignore it, you lose yourself. If you let it carry you, you discover a deeper movement: harmony, rhythm, self-knowledge. Following desire also means letting go of your expectations, stopping projecting unrealistic fantasies onto the other. Stop expecting others to fulfill your unconscious needs. Accept that attraction is a message, not an obligation. Accept that change is inevitable and that every encounter has a purpose. By integrating the shadow, recognizing your archetypes, practicing detachment, and letting life flow with you, you will discover something surprising. Sexual attraction ceases to be a storm. It becomes a guide, a mirror, a teacher. Every intense desire is no longer a threat. Every obsession ceases to be a prison. Every attraction becomes an opportunity for growth and understanding. Jung reminds us that freedom comes not from denying passion, but from understanding and accepting it. Desire doesn't disappear with control or repression. It transforms when we accept it, when we let it flow, when we integrate it. And here's the revelation: letting yourself be carried by desire and embracing change not only improves your relationship with yourself, but also transforms your relationship with others. When you understand the energy that another awakens in you, you can communicate with them mindfully, not out of need. We can love with integrity, not obsession. We can connect without losing ourselves. The deepest truth is this: sexual attraction, in its most conscious form, it is not just pleasure. It is a living psychology, an illuminated shadow, an archetype recognized, an awakened soul. When we flow with it, accept it, integrate it, we discover that passion is a language of the unconscious that speaks for our evolution. That desire is not dangerous but sacred. That attraction is not control but a mirror. If you have ever felt like your desire is dragging you down, remember, thriving isn't about giving up. It's about learning. Subscribe, share your thoughts in the comments, and like if you'd like to continue discovering how desire can become a teacher. Because only through acceptance and growth can your attraction transform into wisdom. You've walked a path few dare to tread. You've observed the shadow hidden within your desire. You have seen how the anima and animus awaken in attraction. You have felt the power of repression and learned to observe it. To detach yourself and let yourself be carried, now comes the most profound moment: liberation. For understanding your desire is not enough. Integrating it transforms your life. Sexual attraction is no longer a fire that consumes you. It's a mirror that reflects you. Every intense desire, every spark you thought incomprehensible, every impulse that seemed forbidden, now has a face, and that face is you. This desire is your shadow speaking, your soul and your animosity manifesting, your unconscious showing you the path to your fulfillment. Jung said that only by consciously confronting the shadow can we move toward individuation. And here's the key: conscious sexual attraction is one of the most powerful shortcuts to this integration. But it requires courage, honesty, and self-love. Desire, once understood, no longer needs escape or control. It transforms into freedom. Every impulse ceases to be a threat and becomes a master. Every attraction ceases to be an obsession and becomes a mirror. Every fantasy ceases to be a shame and becomes a symbol. Imagine all parts of yourself, light and shadow, strength and vulnerability, passion and calm, uniting in harmony. Every inner archetype finds its place. The child is nourished, the wise man is cared for, the lover is liberated, the hero acts with awareness, and the once turbulent sexual energy returns to its natural course. It does not destroy, it does not consume, it transforms. This is the deepest power of attraction, to reveal to you who you truly are. By facing your desire with courage, you discover the darkest and brightest truths simultaneously. It is not the other who awakens your passion. It is you. You are your shadow-seeking light. You are your soul or animus seeking manifestation. You are your unconscious showing you the path to integration. Pleasure ceases to be an end. It becomes a means. Desire ceases to be an enemy. It becomes a teacher. And here is the final paradox. Only by ceasing to struggle, by surrendering, by detaching, does attraction become liberation. There is no need to control, possess, or flee. All we need to do is observe, integrate, love, and allow. And in that space, we discover that everything we were looking for outside has always been inside. The mirror of the other no longer hurts us, no longer obsesses us, no longer consumes us. It reflects our wholeness, and we can walk with the fire without getting burned. The darkest truth about sexual attraction, according to Jung, is not that it enslaves us. It is that it calls us to awaken, to recognize our shadow, to integrate our archetypes, to detach ourselves from the ego, to let ourselves be carried by life, to find in desire a path to freedom and consciousness. By accepting this truth, every encounter, every attraction, every desire ceases to be a coincidence. It becomes a teaching, a revelation, an opportunity for growth. And then what once seemed dangerous, dark, forbidden, becomes sacred. What once seemed obsession becomes guidance. What once seemed chaos becomes harmony. Your shadow, your anima, your animus, your desire all find their place, and you discover that sexual attraction, far from being a game or a trap, is the language of your unconscious speaking to you, to remind you of who you are. If you've ever felt like your desire is controlling or disrupting you, remember, you are not a victim. You are a conscious being. Subscribe, share your thoughts in the comments, and like if you'd like to continue exploring the mysteries of the soul. For it is only by observing the shadow that we integrate the archetypes and allow ourselves to be carried away by desire. We have found the freedom that was always within us.